Our projects today, we're going to do 3 crafts that have to do with those goals that I set. 2 of them have to do with saving your $5,000, and we're going to use our Cricut, and we're going to make 2 crafts that are that way. And then one of my goals was one that I set that I told you about, that I wanted to send a card or a letter to my mom twice a month so she got fun mail in her mailbox. And so we're going to make a card for Mom. Hello everyone. In my last video I showed you my 2022 bullet journal. I talked about some of my goals, and so I've had a few questions about one in particular, and that was when I talked about saving $5,000 a year in cash. And I have done that for the last 4 years, and so I'm starting on my 5th year of doing that $5,000 cash. So the reason I'm talking to you about this is because there are ways that you can do that. And that $5,000 a year has actually come in really handy for us. I have to admit that a lot of it has gone to medical bills, dental bills, but some has gone to fun activities over the weekends, like bowling as a family, or going on a little outing, or an overnight trip. And that $5,000 is a big enough chunk of money that it can make a difference. Now, if you are looking at $20 here or there, that money evaporates and makes almost no difference at all and is hardly even seen, and you don't even pay attention to it. But when you start to gather those little bits of money, they add up, and then big chunks of money can make a difference for you and help you feel a certain amount of freedom. And so let's get that started. The first thing I'm going to do actually though is measure this jar, because I need to size my project. So it's about 5 that way, but it's pretty narrow. Maybe 3 would be the most I would go on that. So let's go ahead and go into Design Space and get the label for our jar and for our box and everything ready so that we can do those crafts together. Okay, to show you these projects start to finish, we're in Cricut Design Space, and I'm going to show you how I'm creating the 2 labels that I'm doing for my projects. And so first I'm going to go into text, and I'm just going to type in abundance as one, and then I'm going to do another bit of text that says mindset. And let's pull those apart. And then I want to, oh, looks like I've got a little error on mindset, so I'm going to double click on that, and then I can go back through and correct my error. Okay, so I'm going to highlight abundance, and I want to change the font. And there is a font that I like, and it's called, it's Vario. I'm going to just type that in. Yeah, it's Variocom Regular, and I want to use that for my word abundance. I just really like how that works. And then for mindset, I like one that's called Richie. Let me type that in up here. Richie Regular. And there it is. Okay, so I've got my 2 text boxes there. And so what I want to do, I'm going to resize these down a little bit so that I've got about a 4-inch wide width there. And then I'm going to size this down to just kind of match that, a little bit smaller, but so that it just fits together like that. And I actually really like that. I like that for my tag on this box. I'm going to do these in I think we'll do it in a green color. Now, if you look, you can see little lines between each of these letters. I don't want that. I want all of those little lines gone. So I'm going to highlight the whole thing and weld it. And then you see all the little lines between the letters are gone. And so that's going to be my first tag, and so I'm going to move that to the side, and now that I've welded it, they can move together. Then the second tag I want to do is going to go on a jar, and I'm going to actually go into images now, and I'm going to type in little things, because I want to create a tag about the little things, and I like this one, and I like it even in orange, and I'm going to click on that and add it to my canvas. And then I want to add some text to that, so let's click that, and I want to put the word matter. Little things matter. And actually, I'm going to do that all in caps to kind of match what's there. But I want just this very straightforward font. And so Cricut has a very straightforward font called Cricut Sans. And I like that, and I think that looks really good with this SVG that was already there created for me. So I want this to be bold. I'm actually going to bold that font because I like that a little better. And then it bugs me a little bit, the spacing here. So I'm going to ungroup those letters, and then I'm going to regroup just the last 4. And then I can just move that whole set over. I just didn't like that gap between the A and the T very much. So I'm moving that over because, I don't know, I like that better. And then I can regroup that whole, actually what I want to do before I do that, I want to make sure that I align the bottom. That's what I want, so that those letters are all on the same level. And then I am going to regroup them, and I'm going to change them to the same color as the rest of the text. And I'm going to resize it so that it matches. And I'm going to just drag this so it's right on one of the big lines so I can see a little better, so that I can match that up. And I think I'm going to unlock that and just expand this that way just a little bit. There we go. I like how that looks. So now I am going to attach that whole thing so that it will be printed as one whole thing. Okay, so now we're going to go to Make It, and I'm going to do this on a mat. And you will see that it's going to print on 2 separate mats. So the orange will print all together, the green will print all together, and that's exactly how I want it. And let's look at the green one. See, that's how it'll show. All right, and so now I can go to Continue, and it will ask me my material that I'm going to be using to do these cuts. And so my base material is going to be premium permanent glossy vinyl. There we go. All right, now that we're done in Design Space, let's go ahead and cut our the things we made in Design Space. And so let's just get that going. The first one I'm going to do is the Little Things Matter, and I have a scrap of this this orange vinyl, and I really like this set. And so it comes in several colors, and I like that for new crafters, particularly when you don't have a big stock of vinyl. That's a good way to go to get you started. So we're going to go ahead and put this scrap on my mat, and I'm looking at the ready to print screen on my computer, and I made sure that I've got enough of this scrap, and it's actually about a 3x3 thing that I'm going to be cutting, and so that scrap should be just fine. And so we're going to go ahead and get this loaded. Once that light flashes, then it's ready to load. Oh, and I've been having some trouble with my mat going in crooked, and so what I need to do is have it send it right back out, because it will not detect it quite right. And so I can just push that button again. So my mat's getting a little bit old and it's got a little bit of a wrinkle on that side, and so sometimes it goes in a little weird. So there we go. That's loading just right. And we'll just kind of walk through that. So now this light is flashing. That means it's ready to cut. So let's go ahead and cut both of those, and then I'll be right back with you. I have the green one cut. So while the orange one is cutting, I can be weeding this green one. And I kind of enjoy weeding. I think it's kind of fun. So this little sign that I'm doing is going to go on the outside of just a plain old shoebox. So I'll show you that. I've just got a shoebox, nothing fancy. You'll also want to keep your savings in something sort of nondescript that isn't easily identified. And so a shoebox is a great way to do that, and you'll just keep it somewhere and you don't have to let a lot of people know about it. So that's going to be what goes on the front of my box. And now this is ready and we can unload. And I'm just gonna slide this out of the way a little bit, give us a little bit more space. And then let's unload that from the mat. They say it's best to bend the mat than to bend your paper. And then I'm going to use my Cricut paper cutter to go ahead and trim that down. I like to do that because I like to keep these scraps of vinyl at least one side straight, so that when I load it onto the mat, it's easy to see. But I do have another section of that I can save for another project, because these scraps come in really handy. And of course, we're going to be talking about money today, and one good thing to do is to save money. So I want to talk to you a little bit about this whole money saving project that I do. So I have where did I put it? Oh. I have a plan that my daughter showed me several years ago that's kind of an outline for how you can go about saving $5,000 a year. And so it varies by week, and it starts pretty small. The first week is $20, $35, $45, and then larger, and then we drop back down. So it's varying on those weeks the amount that we are saving. And I like that because that gives me a little bit of, for one thing, it makes it fun, and it gives me a little bit of leeway in case I did really well one week but not the next. I can still stick with the plan. Now, there are so many ways to do this plan. For example, if you were able to just save even just $20 a week over the course of the year, you would then have over $1,000. And so any amount of money saved really helps. And you know that $20, if you were given $20 for Christmas or a birthday, or you returned some clothes and you got $20, that money would just evaporate. It would just be unimportant. So my goal throughout the year is to actually save those little bits of money that just seem to disappear into the void. That is how I end up saving those $5,000. So let me give you some examples of that while I'm weeding. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky to weed and talk, but I'll do the best I can. So for example, if I receive any money for my birthday, whether it's cash or a check, if it's a check, I will actually cash the check, get the cash, and then I will put it into I call it my secret savings. Now, my whole family knows about the secret savings, and now you do too. So it's not like it's very secret, but it's just something we don't pay a lot of attention to. And so that's why I call it secret savings. Okay, let's go ahead and we'll get that on there. So this jar is where I saved all of my change. And I love change. And in order for this system to work the way I do it, you do need to use cash pretty regularly. My daughter does the same savings, but she just puts transfers money into her bank account. But for me, the visual of actually having the cash helps me. So let's say that you go to the store, you return your shirt, then you take that cash and you put it into savings. Any extra checks that come to our house go into secret savings. So for example, let's say we get a refund on insurance, or we paid the hospital too much and we get a check for $50, $25, $65, however much. That money goes into secret savings because it's money we didn't even know was coming. And so that's where it goes, right into that box. And the interesting thing is that over time, that money starts to really build up. If you were able to save $100 a week, you have your 1,000. But to say, wow, $100 a week, that's a lot of money. But if you're doing a little here and a little there, that really adds up into a great little nest egg. So let me give you another example of how I do this. And this is how I first started doing this little system, and I was amazed how quickly the money added up. Every time I went to the store, the grocery store or Target or wherever, I went ahead and used my debit card, but I would get $20 cash every time. And there were times with a big family, there were times I was going to the store 2 or 3 times a week, sometimes just once a week, but I always did that $20 cash. And the funny thing was, we hardly even noticed it. So if I was grocery shopping, I would maybe get a couple of things fewer than I would normally get. Like, you don't need the crackers necessarily. Maybe you could, we don't drink pop much in my family, but things like pop or treats, snacks, those you can maybe get less of and then get your $20 of cash. And I was amazed at how quickly that cash added up. So here's our jar. So let's see if I hope you can see that. It says little things matter, and that reminds me that those coins that go in, they start to add up. And if I find money in the laundry, it so goes in either the jar or the box. So our average savings in coins over the course of the year is somewhere between $150 and $200. Most years it comes out right around $180. That's a lot in coin. And so then that is part of that secret savings. And at the end of the year, I'll roll it, take it to the bank, get the cash, and it goes in the box. Okay. So that's one way you can save money without hardly even recognizing it. So let's do our shoe box now. So you're going to use kind of a nondescript shoe box. You don't want to announce that you've got, a couple of $1,000 sitting in here. And so let me see if I can, I'm trying to reuse some of this tape, but I'm going to have to cut a new piece, and that's okay. And I love this transfer tape. It's like really big, masking tape, but it works really great, particularly on paper, cardboard, those kinds of things. So that's why I'm using it on the box, because if you get a higher tack tape and put it on a box, as you pull it up, it'll tear off some of the paper that's on the outside of the box. So there we go. Now these other little pieces I'm going to go ahead and save so that I don't have to buy that. And on one of those trips, instead of buying more transfer tape, I can get my $20 bill and throw it in my box. And it's so fun to go back through and then count that money. Now let me share another way that I have come up with money to go in that box. And here's just an example. Last summer, my daughters decided they wanted to do a lemonade stand. And so I told them, yeah, I would give them the money to get started, to buy the raw materials, the cups and things that they needed to go ahead and run their lemonade stand. We went to the store and they got the lemonade stuff, and I bought it, of course, because I was, you know, footing the bill to get the business venture started. And so at the store, I bought the materials, got my $20 bill, because, you know, it just disappears if you don't focus on it. And so I got my $20 bill in cash, went home, put my $20 bill in my secret savings box, and then my daughters had their lemonade stand and made their money, and then they brought me $20 in cash to pay me back for the startup costs, because, you know, I want to teach them these business concepts. And so I put that in the box. So out of that lemonade stand, I ended up with $40 in my secret savings box. And that's $40 that would have just gone to whatever without hardly being noticed. So that's kind of how I do that. Now, one of the best ways that I get money in there is I actually, there's actually a wellness company that's, it's eco-friendly products. I've been getting a check from them because I share the products with my friends and stuff. I've been getting a check from that company for 8 or 9 years, a check for $70 every month. And so, and that $70 a month for several years has added up to almost $15,000. But that check, when I get it, I cash it and it goes in the secret savings. So any check that is not our regular paycheck, or any money that is not typical what we're expecting, goes in that box. And I have been able to save that money for all those years. Now, here is one of the other big benefits of doing that. It has changed my mindset from worry and scarcity and what are we going to do, to an abundance mindset. And that's why I'm putting that on the box, because that's what we need. That really is what we need. And I have found that as I focus on just capturing those bits of money that would evaporate, I am gaining an abundance mindset, and I see more and more and more of those bits of money coming in. And it's amazing how that works. It's like you become aware of it, you start to track it, and things start to change. And so I'm going to link below. I'm going to see if I can find this one that I use. You can also find one for $3,000. So just keep in mind, $20 a week, you're going to be a little over $1,000. $40 a week, you're going to be over $2,000. $60 a week, over $3,000. It just keeps adding up that way. So you can save money. And think of the difference in your use of the money when it's $20, $30 compared to a chunk of $1,000. It can make a difference. So I really love this system, and I really encourage you to start saving actually any amount and start feeling that sense of freedom. So we have our coin jar that we are collecting our coins, and our box with our tracker, and they say what you track increases. And so just start. Even if Even if all you can do is to get an extra $5 bill every time you go to the store, do it, because you will be amazed at how quickly it adds up and how much your freedom increases, your mentality of abundance comes, and you start to become more aware of money around you that you can capture, that if you weren't paying attention, it would just disappear. So those are my suggestions for that. Now, what my other goal that I told you about was that I was going to send that card to my mom. And so let's go back into Design Space and we'll see my third craft for my New Year's goals. So now we're going to make the card for my mom. And so I'm in a new blank canvas, and I want to make a card straight off of Design Space. And so I'm going to go into Projects, and I want to find Cards. And my mom actually really likes teapots. And so I'm going to see if there is a card that is a teapot. There is. There are 3 choices. Looks like the first 2 are very similar. I want to go with this one, a little more simple. And so I'm going to go into Customize because there are just a couple of things I need to check. So when I look at this, I see that there is an envelope that will be cut and all the parts of the card. And so I'm looking over here on the right-hand side to see what those layers are. So there are 2 teapot layers, one for the black and one for the white there. There's the outer border, and then the inside that is the polka dot, and there's some scoring, and then there is the outside basic card. And then when I go to make it, all pieces will be on a mat, and this is all done out of cardstock. And so it'll show me each mat and what's being cut. So on mat number 1, it's showing the inside kind of white part of the card that I will write on. Mat 2 is showing the envelope and the white part of the teapot. Mat 3 is the black part of the teapot. Mat 4 is the outer cover of the card. Mat 5 is the border, and mat 6 is that inside polka dot. So now I have an idea of how I'm going to load my papers and what mat I'm going to use. And so I'm going to go right back to mat 1, and we are going to go ahead and load and cut each part, and then we will assemble that together. And we'll do my third craft for my winter quarter goals. For the card for my mom, I found some different papers that I want to use. Some are from, I found one from this Basics from Paper Studio. I believe that's Michael's or Hobby Lobby, I think. And then I found some in this other one, Simple Stories. So I will link these below. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and get everything cut, and then I'm going to come back with you and we are going to assemble Mom's card. So making the envelope first, and I believe it goes like that. And then this really pretty decorative thing is where I'll close it down after I put the card in. Oh, I am really liking that. Look how cute that is. And the little top. I've got to make sure I save that. Oh, look how cute that turns out. Oh, I love that. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to edit the tools, and I'm going to show that I have a scoring stylus. And then it will allow me to put this into that and close it. Okay, Now we can go and it will go ahead and score it. So after the cut, it says first we're going to score along the score lines. I'm really impressed with how this worked. So because I don't have a scoring blade, I selected Edit Tools and was able to select this to put into port A instead of buying a stylus like that. And so I can see the score right there. So I can go ahead and fold that and get it all ready. So easy. Love that. So it says to fold all upon on all the score lines, then assemble the layers. The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and tape down the inside of the card where I'm going to be writing, right? So I'm going to use a tape runner because that's what I'm used to. That's what I like. Okay, so I'm getting that taped down first. That's where I'll be writing. And then what I'm going to do is take my, let's move this up. This piece that's going to go right back there, that is going to get taped to this outside edge so that the card still opens. So I'm going to go right around that edge with my tape runner, just like that. I'll line it up as best I can to the corners. And get that taped down. Okay, so then we've got that. And then, but I think I would like this cut down just a bit. I think I'd like to see some of that green showing over the edge. So I'm actually going to go in and just trim, use my paper trimmer, and I'm just going to trim those edges all at the same distance, just so I can get the green showing on the outside, because I like this yellow, but I think my mom will like the green more. There we go. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so now when I put this on there, I like that much better. And one thing I do really like also about having this paper mat down is that I can use my tape runner and let it run over and get on this paper. And then I'll show you. Let me get this on and then I'll show you what I'm going to do next. And we'll push that down. Okay. Get that all pushed down. And then all of that glue comes up. And I'm going to do one more thing on here while I still have this used paper. I'm going to get the glue on the teapot. And then let's line that up in the middle. And push it down. And then any extra glue that is stuck to the outside stays on this paper. And it comes up just fine. And then I can go ahead and take that sheet of paper that's got score lines and tape and all kinds of other things, and I can just tear that off, and I still have this wonderful pad beneath and more paper. I can write notes and keep track of things, and I really love that about this idea. Okay, so there is my finished card for Mom. I think she's going to really love that, because she loves the teapots. And then I can go ahead and write a note in there for her. Let's just finish that envelope. So I'm going to do my tape along here and here, and then those stick down to those edges, and then the envelope works just great. And that was so easy from Cricut Design Space. So there you go, a fun card for Mom, our coin savings jar, and our box to do our savings. And there you go for today.